So, am I saying the system is broken beyond repair? I've now showed you that the system is very, very badly broken. Would you agree? It's badly broken. But no, the Electoral College still has a useful function. In 2000, 1888, and 1824 elections, the popular vote winner did not get a majority of electoral votes. We're going to throw out 1876 because it's just a mess. There's really no way it's an apples and oranges comparison. In these elections, regional factionalism and population concentration did not guarantee an Electoral College majority. Especially in this election, 1888, right here. Here's what happened. Grover Cleveland won the popular vote, lost the electoral vote. The reason he won the popular vote, he won by huge margins in the South, 70 to 30 in some cases. But in the North where he lost by these little tiny margins, these little 0.5%, 0.1%, a few thousand votes here, a few thousand votes there. So what happens is he won in states with low electoral vote counts, and he won huge. But he lost in states with large electoral vote counts, and he lost by a tiny little bit. Well, should he be the winner on that basis? Remember, this is proportional representation, so the answer is no. It's a good thing that the Electoral College did that job. And the same thing in 2000. Al Gore won in the cities and lost in the countryside. George Bush won. I'm no big fan of George Bush, but the fact is he won in the countryside and lost in the cities. When you look at that map, if you ever get the county map and see the counties that George Bush won versus the counties that Al Gore won, it's frankly embarrassing because the little blues are concentrated here, 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 here. The red is all over the place. It's everywhere. So you see what I mean by regional factionalism. The South wasn't able to gang up together and overwhelm the Northern vote by sheer percentages. And the same thing with population concentration. The fact that the population was concentrated in the North really didn't matter because it's a matter of degrees. It's a matter of tiny little losses, a few thousand votes here and there. So the Electoral College did what it was supposed to do. It kept the majority from tyrannizing the minority in the election. That's the job of the Electoral College, currently. And we also maintain the federal nature of the system. And by that I mean representation, the representative nature of the system. We didn't have a majority vote that tyrannized the minority vote. Okay. The system is broken, but definitely repairable. And I've got a modest proposal here that I'm proposing to fix the problem. We're going to see if we can't make it work more like it's designed. First, work in state legislatures to choose electors like Nebraska and Maine already do, by congressional district. In Nebraska and Maine, you vote for one elector in your congressional district, and he's probably committed to a party candidate. He is committed to a party candidate. I don't know that for absolutely certain, like metaphysical certitude, but I'm certain. In this case, the two senatorial electors, remembering you get one for each congressman and one for each senator. So every state has a minimum of 3. The two senatorial electors are awarded to the popular vote winner. That would be the plan. This will make the system more federal, even more federal than it is now, and give equal weight to rural votes. City voters can no longer overwhelm the countryside vote. That can still happen under the winner-take-all system. The city voters can overwhelm the countryside vote. It happens all the time, doesn't it, Barry? All right. But again, we'll go back to our state legislators, and use your lobbying skills, hopefully, that you're gaining. And by the way, none of you is lobbying me. So you need to work on that. Work in state legislatures to allow slates of truly independent and uncommitted electors in each district and for the 2 senatorial slots which would be elected statewide. What effect do you guys think that would have on presidential politics? If you were allowed to vote for none of the above and I'm letting this guy choose.
Ron Paul will be president of this election.
Very likely. He may not be president, but by golly, he'd be in the top 3 votes.
That's right.
I'd say that's a good observation. Basically, this proposal would break the stranglehold the 2 major parties have on presidential elections.
Praise the Lord.
It would allow third parties or independents a reasonable shot at the office. Now, I'm not skipping trawl off through fantasy land here. I won't kid you that it wouldn't be an uphill run to get an independent, truly independent into office. I'm not that naive, but it gives them a shot. It gives them a shot they don't have now. And also, by the way, think about it in terms of a presidential campaign. No longer do you have to win your entire state. You now have to win your congressional district. Gosh, it makes it a lot easier to campaign in a congressional district than it does statewide. And it makes it a lot harder for the parties because they have to sit there and think, oh my gosh, we have no support in that district. We're not going to carry the state. We're not going to carry this district. It changes things drastically. It would change the entire face of party politics. Now, honestly, this proposal would probably throw the election to the House. All it takes is 10% of the people to vote none of the above on an uncommitted elector, and this would probably go to the House. Now, you may think that's a bad thing. It would reinvigorate the legislative branch and de-emphasize the executive branch. That's what needs to happen here. What has happened, if you watch the change in presidential electoral politics, the president has become grossly overly important. And that's a Hamiltonian idea. The chief executive becomes essentially this elected king who comes up for re-election every 4 years. Under this system, this puts the power back in the hands of the House of Representatives. And what it also does, it'll scare the snot out of your House member. Because if this gets thrown back into his lap to pick the president, what do you think that's going to do to him? I can tell you that I believe that it would tend to increase the caliber of men chosen to be president. I don't think a Bill Clinton or a George Bush could ever have gotten in the office if candidates were being picked by the House of Representatives. I don't think you'd be getting the best possible men. I think you'd be getting better men than we're getting now. We wouldn't be the 2 candidates would not be Barack Obama and John McCain on the major parties. And if they were, I can guarantee you, if those 2 were the candidates and none of the above are available, I would tell you that I'd be willing to bet that none of the above would pull about at least a third of the vote right now. It would also reduce the influence of emotional issues in presidential politics. You crank too many people up at once and get them all way too cranked up, it tends to result in burnout. How many people feel burned out already? Well, since we've been in this campaign now for a year. This is the earliest I've ever seen a presidential campaign crank up, and it's all chock full of emotional issues. I think this would reduce the influence of emotional issues in presidential campaigns and get us back to fact-based politics. Let's get back to facts. And I think it would also reduce democratic pressures for greater services. You still have a faction that wants that. But you've now provided another outlet for people who say, neither one of your solutions is correct.